Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing you no longer have to make a single important decision, not because someone took away your freedom, but because something else always seems to know better. It tells you which job to accept, which city to move to, who you should date, whether you should have children, when it's safer to drive, or when it's better to stay home. At first, it feels incredible. Fewer mistakes, less stress, no more second guessing every life-changing choice. Every recommendation is backed by more data than any human could ever process. Millions of similar lives, millions of outcomes, millions of mistakes that you no longer have to make yourself. So one day, your daughter runs towards you with her arms wide open and your phone quietly lights up. Wait, just one word. You don't know why. Maybe she's carrying a virus. Maybe your heart rate is unusually high. Maybe the system has calculated a risk that you can't see. You hesitate. For the first time, you don't trust your own instinct. You trust the recommendation. And in that tiny moment, something changes. Because maybe the biggest decision AI could ever make isn't deciding for you. It's deciding when you stop deciding for yourself. It sounds like science fiction, but pieces of that future are already here. Quietly, almost unnoticed. Every day, algorithms help decide which job applications reach a human recruiter, which loan requests are approved, how much you pay for insurance, and even which online posts you are most likely to see. In hospitals, AI systems are being developed to help doctors detect diseases earlier, analyze medical images, and estimate a patient's risk of certain conditions. In many cases, they don't replace doctors. They help doctors make better decisions. Courts in some regions have also experimented with software designed to estimate the likelihood that a defendant might reoffend. These tools were never meant to replace judges, but they became another voice inside the decision-making process. And perhaps the most surprising part isn't that these systems exist. It's what often happens after they make a recommendation. Researchers have spent years studying something called automation bias, the tendency for people to trust recommendations from automated systems, even when those recommendations may be wrong, not because people are careless, but because computers often appear objective, calm, precise, confident. And when a machine gives an answer with numbers, it can feel more trustworthy than our own intuition. The question is no longer whether AI can help us make decisions. In many places, it already does. The real question is, how many decisions are we willing to hand over before we stop noticing the difference? But here's something interesting. AI doesn't have to become smarter than humans to start making more decisions than humans. It only has to become more trusted. Think about it. Every important decision we make comes with a cost. Choosing the wrong career, marrying the wrong person, investing at the wrong time, missing an early diagnosis. We carry those decisions for years, sometimes for the rest of our lives. So when a system appears that can analyze millions of similar situations, compare millions of outcomes, and make a recommendation in seconds, saying yes becomes surprisingly easy. Not because we're becoming less intelligent, but because we're becoming overwhelmed. Every day, we make thousands of decisions. Most are small. Some change our lives forever. Psychologists have long described something called decision fatigue. The more choices we make, the harder good decisions become. AI offers something incredibly attractive. Not perfection, relief. It promises fewer regrets, less uncertainty, less responsibility, And little by little, we stop asking, what do I think? We start asking, what does the system recommend? That's the real shift, because history suggests people rarely surrender freedom all at once. They usually trade tiny pieces of it for convenience. One recommendation, one shortcut, one decision at a time. Until one day, trusting the machine feels more natural than trusting ourselves. Now imagine this trend continues, not next year, maybe 20 years from now, maybe 50. You wake up in the morning, your AI has already analyzed your sleep, your health, your calendar, the traffic, the weather, and millions of other data points. Before you even finish breakfast, it has already planned your day. It suggests what to eat, which route to take, which meeting deserves your attention, which investment carries the lowest risk, which school may give your child the best future. None of those decisions feel unreasonable. In fact, many of them might even be better than your own. And that's exactly why saying no becomes harder, because every time you ignore the recommendation, you accept the possibility that you might make the worst choice. Little by little, the question changes. It's no longer, can AI make good decisions? It's, why would I choose differently? And perhaps the biggest change isn't technological at all. It's human, because making decisions is more than solving problems. Every mistake teaches us something. Every failure changes us. Every difficult choice becomes part of who we are. If a machine quietly removes enough of those moments, what happens to the person we might have become? Maybe this future never arrives. Maybe AI will always remain nothing more than a helpful assistant. Or maybe, without even realizing it, we'll slowly begin handing over more and more of the decisions simply because it makes life easier. History has shown us that every powerful technology changes more than the world around us. It changes us. The printing press changed how we remembered. The internet changed how we searched for knowledge. Smartphones changed how we paid attention. So perhaps the most important question about AI isn't whether it will become intelligent enough to make our decisions. It's whether we'll become comfortable enough to stop making them ourselves. Because in the end, a life isn't defined only by the choices that were right. It's also shaped by the mistakes, the doubts, the risks, and the moments when we had no certainty at all. So here's a question. If one day an AI could make every important decision in your life more accurately than you ever could, would you let it? Or would you rather remain imperfect but unmistakably human? Because every future begins with a choice